January 2014 meeting, so global carbon taxes. And it goes on from there. And the details are all secret. I'm going to say it again. Secret, 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 secret. Private corporations liaisoning with government and special interest, secretly creating global compacts that Congress, that creates the laws, signs its authority over to. What do you call that? You call that planetary government. And is it open planetary government? No, it's secret planetary government. And what have these groups pushed for in the past? Draconian restrictions on freedom, movement, high taxes, regulations, by every yardstick, totalitarian. So totalitarian, world government, and giving the mob boss Obama and the special interest and other special interests to come, other presidents to come, the power to pick winners and losers domestically, because only the executive and a group of U.S. corporations will represent U.S. interest in future secret negotiations and disputes. Stay with us. We're designed to take on a foreign army. We're designed to see people in another uniform coming after us in a straight-up, stand-up fight. And that's not because other civilizations weren't sneaky, other civilizations weren't underhanded, but it was seen, especially in the West, as unchivalrous. And so any population would turn against any occupier that did not fly their flag openly. In fact, will you guys print me the Cicero quote on the traitor? Cicero, the traitor quote. And he does a whole speech. It's from a book he wrote, member of the Roman Senate. I think the speech was given in something like 44 BC. We're designed to fight an open enemy. In fact, there's the quote. A nation can survive its fools and even the ambitious, but it cannot survive treason from within. An enemy at the gates is less formidable, for he is known and carries his banner openly. But the traitor moves amongst those within the gate freely. His sly whispers rustle through all the alleyways, heard in the very halls of government itself. For the traitor appears not as a traitor. He speaks in accents familiar to his victims, and he wears the face and their arguments. He appeals to the baseness that lies deep within the hearts of all men. He rots the soul of a nation. He works secretly and unknown in the night to undermine the pillars of the city. He infects the body politic so that it can no longer resist. A murderer is less to fear. And I think of George Soros when I hear that quote. George Soros doesn't care about poor inner city people. He's a famous Nazi collaborator, currency speculator. He's a criminal. He's been convicted in multiple countries. He goes out and spends hundreds of millions of dollars to get race riots going on, and they're funding communist groups running around calling for whacking the police. Not to reform the government, but to destroy local government and destabilize. The traitor is the plague. They are the plague. What was the plague? The plague used to hit Rome every few decades. Coming out of the east, bubonic plague, eating your skin off. The traitor is the plague. Rotting the country. And that's what TPP is. And I'll say this, I like Ted Cruz. But you notice Ted Cruz voted for this. So did Senator Cornyn of Texas. Both Texas senators. Rand Paul did not. And that's why I say Rand Paul's better. Rand Paul says that if he sees the bill, and that if it's true free trade, that we need to be part of a debate, we need to be part of any major group setup, that he would vote to do it, but vote for the specific negotiation powers that the president would have at these meetings, and that they shouldn't be secret, and that they need to pass legislation that's then given to the president to implement. And they spin that and go, oh, see, he says he'd still be for it. No, he's playing politics with them. He's saying, let me see it. Because they will go after anybody that doesn't support this. That's why the Democratic and Republican leadership, almost to a person, went for this, because this is global government. This is the big push. This is America being taken over. And by the way, understand something. If they get away with this, the sky's the limit. just like I said with Obamacare or all these other executive power grabs. If they can get away with this, think of what they'll get away with next. Globalism does not create prosperity. Even if globalism was somewhat totalitarian, if it brought prosperity, I would criticize it because long-term, that always rots. And then even though sometimes totalitarianism can bring brief prosperity down the road, it always takes a very bad turn. So I would be against it because I'm for free will and sovereignty and firewalls against unchecked power, separation of powers. But I wouldn't be fighting it tooth and nail. I wouldn't be as worried. We're in grave peril. Our elite are so arrogant that 5 years ago they began spending now $5 billion out of the U.S. alone, billions more out of NATO, billions out of Saudi Arabia, probably $1 billion out of Turkey, to fund jihad, Muslim Brotherhood, Wahhabist, Sunni, Al-Qaeda. I mean, they fly the Al-Qaeda stinking flag. The military finally said, no, we're not going to be part of this. It made me cry. It was such a moment of finally seeing a soul left in our country. So they just changed the name to ISIS, had them invade Iraq, gave them a bunch of weapons caches. They've now turned back into Syria. They've taken back the area they lost. They've got over half the country now. Some estimates are 2/3. And good people in our government have leaked it. It's Judicial Watch. It's up on Infowars.com. Secret Pentagon report reveals U.S. created, not the U.S., criminals that have hijacked the country. Just like TPP, they're going to say that's the U.S. No, it's not. It's secret. If you run me over with your car, I didn't help you run me over. So I want it to be clear. The majority of American people are not for this. The polls show that. We just have an occupied government. That's why, if you were the globalist, what would you be worried about? A peaceful revolution through the states to take the country back. That's why the whole system's set up to shut down states' rights. That's why they want to get riots going locally everywhere, for the feds to come in as the savior to save us from the local police. Give me a break. The local police are the least of our problems. Secret Pentagon report reveals U.S. created ISIS as a tool to overthrow Syria's President Assad. Judicial Watch shows that Western governments deliberately allied with al-Qaeda and other Islamist extremist groups to topple Syrian dictator Bashar Assad. By the way, people are going to say, Alex, we already know this. In fact, in the comments on InfoWars, they're like, Alex, we knew this 5 years ago. We've heard all the guests. It's well known. I mean, Assad's been saying, well, why is this news? Because the actual document has now been leaked to Judicial Watch, highly respected. And the president of Iraq has come out 3 times and said that criminal elements of our government are aiding al-Qaeda right now and ISIS, same group. And they're aiding them to get across the border and attack the U.S. And you're like, you mean they're real terrorists? Yes, they're real terrorists. Real in that at the grassroots, they're real. Up the line, they're Western intelligence controlled. But it's beyond Western intelligence. 95% of the CIA is involved in this, probably 99%. 99% of the FBI. After 9/11, there were FBI agents in the news, including their deputy director, who died on 9/11. He was in it a week before going, it's like al-Qaeda runs the FBI. We try to stop them and we're blocked. Because they do. It's not al-Qaeda running it. The people that run al-Qaeda are above the FBI. And now it's all coming out. This is coffin nails to the globalist. This is devastating. This is coming out. By the way, conspiracy theorists are causing militants to abandon ISIS. Al-Qaeda has officially put out videos, ISIS, attacking Infowars.com. And now they say that conspiracy theories claiming that don't join ISIS, they really work for the globalist, is causing them to not get new recruits. This is officially from the ISIS official website and videos. And, of course, you know who the tip of the spear of that is, Infowars.com. But, look, I don't want the credit. It's people in the military. It's the general public. It's Judicial Watch. It's Colonel Schaefer. It's countless others saying they won't be part of this. The point is, though, here we are again. Here you are, the millions of listeners, putting this info out, affecting world change. So good job. We're going to start the next hour and open the phones up at 877-789-ALEX, 877-789-2539. First-time callers, 877-789-2539 on the TPP. How big a deal is it? Will it be rammed through the House? We elected Republicans to get in there and reverse all this, and instead, all they've done is work with Obama to sell the country out. That shows you how rogue and out of control they are. Matt Drudge said the Republicans are committing suicide. I agree. But they're also killing America in a group suicide like Jim Jones while they do it. We'll talk about it all coming up in the second hour. 877-789-ALEX. I was sitting back seeing how crystal clear the enemy's plan is and how it only stands, it only operates because the public is ignorant. The people perish for lack of knowledge. And I was seeing how they militarize police, how they put them in villainous Darth Vader outfits, how they then fund a lot of the militant protesters to make the police state look legitimate. And then one of the tiles on Infowars.com was on screen of police in their Darth Vader outfits. And it just brought it home to me how sickening this whole plan is. And earlier this week, I guess on Thursday, they've been up to more no good yet again. I got to see the bottom of the barrel, miscreant, unspeakably weak, pathetic, truly wicked. I mean, dog crap on the bottom of your shoes is godlike compared to these people. And I was just thinking about them running around in this free country, hanging up rotten pig heads, talking about how they're going to take out police. And then no wonder when they showed up at our protest to attack us, they wouldn't say who they were with. I just don't get it. I mean, I'm just so sick of people sneaking around. But see, they don't want to stand up fight, folks. They want to just roll around on the ground like little snakes. And I know one way of dealing with snakes, and that's all I know. And you see them ramping up for the summer of rage all over the world, using the exacerbation of the public screwed over by the globalists, legitimate anger of a corrupt global government, corrupt local governments, all of it, to then ignite a fake revolution to create a bunch of leftist squalor. I mean, folks, in a communist country, you're lucky if you can get one type of detergent, one type of sausage, one type of bread, if it's even there. It'll have mold all over it. One type of tomatoes. You'll be lucky if you can get one watch every 10 years, one new pair of shoes every 5 years, one new pair of pants every year. And I got to watch all these spoiled, rotten people sitting here in all this wealth, complaining, living better than the kings lived 100 years ago. Oh, don't worry. The globalists with their red carpets and their jumbo jets, they don't want you to live well anymore either. And they're going to take everything you got. And quite frankly, you deserve to be usurped if you buy into all this. And we do waste a lot of stuff, and we are decadent. But here's the difference. We're not premeditated evil like the globalists, who want prosperity for them but not for anybody else. We can have clean prosperity. We can have good technology. We can build a better world. But now they've sold a modern dark age system where austerity and being poor is cool. But they're not giving you austerity to help the planet. They're giving you austerity to make you absolutely dependent on them. 101 million people. The GAO, General Accounting Office, came out, on Thursday, 101 million and something. I forget maybe you guys can pull it up. Over 100 million people on food assistance. That a free country? Let me tell you, if someone else is responsible for feeding you and you're not a child or you're not an 80-year-old person, because, yeah, you're old, you took care of kids, now they're going to take care of you. Once the man, twice the child. You're not a slave if you're 80 years old and your kids are feeding you, though you are a slave to them treating you right. You are dependent. But let me tell you, if you're 40 years old and you're dependent on the system, or you're 25 years old, you are a slave. I don't say that to make myself feel good about you. I'm a couple steps out of the same place you're at.